Good morning, Karen from Quantum Heart Awakening. We're going to do a shorter Divine Feminine check-in. So let's just see where Divine Feminine Collective is. Deep breaths, everyone. Ground, center. Honor the floor beneath you. Honor the ground beneath you. Okay, feminines. Oh, I didn't even realize we had cards pop out already. Okay, we have right now, it says, stay in the present and don't get too far ahead of the flow. You'll soon trust that nothing more will come than can be handled in each moment. And then we have detachment. With detachment, you finally feel whole inside, with or without the fulfillment of a particular desire. Ironically, that's often when it's fulfilled. Anything else for feminines? Anything else for feminine spirit? Wow, these messages were flying early today. We have limitless. See yourself open to receive in the most miraculous ways. The divine can use anything and anyone. In the unconscious position, feminines, we have freedom. So there's a collective here. Part of the collective feminine is pushing freedom into the shadow, or pushing the blocks to freedom into the shadow. So is there anything that you've needed to take care of, feminines? Is there anything that you perceive to be blocking your freedom? Any stories that are holding you back? I just posted, I'll have to post it on my community page or whatever. This Meister Eckhart quote. It said something like, if you were secure enough, what would you do? Or if you, act like you are as secure, it's going to bother me. Hold on. Now I need to look it up. Hold please as I knock over the camera. It says, I'm showing you this on my phone. Do exactly what you would do if you felt the most secure. This has been so deeply rewarding and fulfilling. Because it cuts through all of our egoic crap, right? It cuts through all of the fears, all of the stories. It cuts through all of the, if then BS that we concoct in our brain, right? If I have this amount of money, then I could do this. If I lose this amount of weight, then I can have these experiences. If I have this many friends, then I'll be happy. If then. And so often, feminines, we don't realize that we're operating unconsciously from these systems. And so you're being called to detach from all of these stories and to get your energy and awareness in present time. How present can you be? That's the question that should lead the day. That's the lens that we should all be looking through at this part of the journey. How present can I be? Because here's the thing, the more present you are, the why, it's like showing me like a lens dilating, or like an eyeball dilating. The more present we are, the more we can extract from the moment. And when we can extract more from a moment, we have more awareness. And when we have more awareness, it feeds our intuition in different ways. And the more intuition we have access to, the more discernment we can deploy in our lives. Okay, it's funny. I never start with these cards, but I just felt called. So let's see where we're going. I didn't even ask a question yet. We have timeout in reverse and spiritual career. Yeah, that feels very, very clear to me. What's in the unconscious position? Yeah, relationship. Okay. Wow. All right. So there's two messages coming out. I'm just going to say all of them. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You've heard other readers say this, I'm sure, but it's so true. Do not make a narrative fit if it's not your story. Because if I could do anything on this channel, if I could give you one morsel it would be that you are a sovereign being, and it's up to you and your discernment to decide what is true for you, what resonates with your story, and what is useful for your life path in this present moment. Okay, so I'm going to say all the narratives. So part of this Divine Feminine Collective is not resting, is not taking a break on this path. I mean, it's really, really easy to just keep going and keep turning over just one more stone and one more stone and trying to understand self and trying to do this and da 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 da. It's exhausting. And yes, you are limitless. Yes, you have all of this profound divine wisdom coursing through your body, but you're also meant to temper that. You're also meant to practice sobriety with your gifts, to be able to detach and balance what is moving through you in the present moment. You're meant to be able to assess, am I at capacity right now? Should I listen to that one more episode of the podcast, or should I go to bed? Should I, read one more book, or should I go for a walk around the block? Should I, dive into childhood trauma, or should I spend time with my kids? Like, these are real life discernments that we all have to kind of confront at different moments, or different flavors of these things. But at some point, we have to temper our daily duties with the amount of quote unquote, the work, right? So some of you need to take a break from the work. That's all I'll say about that. Now, the other message coming in here is that your spiritual career is on hold because you're meant to, let me say it like this. Some of you are pushing something to do a change in your relationship, either with self or other, something to do with this in the shadows. So what part of the relationship you have with yourself are you pushing into the shadows? Is there something you need to take care of? The relationship you have with your voice, with your body, with your spirit, with your energy? Is there something that you're not taking accountability for? For me, there's a part of my health that and my body that I'm struggling to really get behind. And so, yes, that's my example. That would really help me if I take it out of the shadow and put it smack dab in the center of the altar and look directly at it and say, God, help me make better choices. Help me identify what's blocking this. Maybe it's a worthiness issue. Maybe it's a time constraint. Maybe it's I'm not good, or we're not good at balancing resources. Maybe it's, fill in the blank, whatever it is, but you're allowed to ask the divine for support. One of my spiritual mentors always says to take God off the pedestal, take the extraordinary out of God, she says, bring God down to ground level, right? We have to get to a place where, especially feminines, I'm forgetting this is a divine feminine reading. Of course it is. It's ordinary. Of course we're talking about this for the divine feminine. I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, because you have such profound spiritual gifts. And sometimes, when we have these miraculous or extraordinary experiences, we tend to put them on a pedestal and think, oh my God, this was like a once in a lifetime thing. And let's tell everyone about it because you're just so, you can't believe that this thing happened. But every time you do that, you are telling the quantum field that you are not worthy of that gift. It's one thing if you treat that gift as a limited resource. It's another thing if you honor the infinite, limitless nature of that gift. So this miraculous thing that happened to you, feminines, it's not extraordinary. It's a regular Tuesday for you. You're going to hear me say this over and over and over again because this is the new normal. Right? We are embodying frequencies of a planet that doesn't yet exist. This is why it feels so lonely. This is why it's so hard. This is why we're swimming upstream. We're swimming against the current. And so it requires more energy of us to call our spirit back from places it doesn't belong. So what is showing up in your life that you get to take accountability for regarding your relationship? Is it your external relationship? Is there a conversation with your partner that you've been putting off? Are there desires you have not communicated? Are there truths, deep, authentic self-expressions and truth that that you haven't shared. That I get it. It's tough. That is vulnerable. That is tricky. But by continuing to avoid taking responsibility for this truth, for whatever this relationship truth is, it's putting a halt to whatever mission-based spiritual career you're meant to step into. The phrase spiritual career, I just don't love it. But it's whatever your soul mission is here to do. That's how I read spiritual career. It's whatever your deepest gifts are. Now, what those gifts are, they don't have to be some, like, you don't have to be a psychic or a medium or an oracle, or it could be that you are the most incredible teacher, that you are the most incredible carer of children. It could be that you are an incredible CEO or a corporate something or other. Just because we are approaching this from a spiritual angle doesn't mean you have to have this spiritual career. It's literally, your spiritual career is about how much of your spirit can you bring to the table. There's this great 2-hour conversation between Carolyn Mace and Clarissa Pinkola Estes, and they're both two powerhouse women, two powerhouse leaders in their fields. And I believe Clarissa Pinkola Estes is also a Jungian analyst, on top of being a therapist and counselor and all these amazing, and author and incredible storyteller and whatever. And I'm losing my thread. There's this great conversation. Oh, I think it's called like Intuition in the Mystical Life. And it's for women. It's talking about women, on how it's these two powerhouse women talking about how can we raise the frequency of women? What do they need? How can we support women to come into the truth of their intuitive gifts, the truth of their mystical life? It's free on Hoopla if you want to listen to it. It's 2 hours. It's like the perfect thing to listen to on a plane ride. That's like my go-to listen. And I've heard it a million times, and I always get something different from it every single time. There was a reason I brought that up, and I can't remember it, but I'm going to move on. Do I want to move on? I feel like that was important. Oh, yes, I remember. Thank you, Spirit. They talk about this incredible thing. And basically, so many people who throughout history, when people become enlightened, there's so many stories and inclinations to, when you become enlightened, you leave society, right? You go to the monastery, you go to the ashram, you go to the mountains to live in a cave and meditate on a cliff for 12 years. There's so many stories where people become illuminated and leave society. Well, part of this conversation is like, no, none of this is the point. When you become enlightened and you have all of, I'm getting teary-eyed because it's so beautiful, and it speaks to the service piece of our gifts. You're supposed to go deeper into society. You have the gift to shift the collective. You have to go where the collective is, right? Don't leave. And so I can't remember which one of them says it. She's like, what if at the next big corporate meeting at Procter & Gamble, your indigenous grandmother was in the meeting? And what if she could share her 2 cents? What if she could share her throat chakra? What if she could share her authentic indigenous expression? What if her voice was heard? What if her voice was respected? So the point is, like, don't write off these massive parts of society because they're such an assault to, like, whatever. You might be the one who's called to go in and change that. And I actually, as this is coming out of my mouth, I've been in this position. I've actually been in this position. And this is a very personal choice. And I want to underline this for you, feminines. Only you can discern, like, what is the right thing for your specific gifts. For instance, I worked in a hospital for 15 years, and I did kind of the best I could do, the best my abilities at that time and my level of perception and my level of consciousness would let me do to shift the environment. There was a point where the weight of that ecosystem was too much to bear on my heart. It was so much that I just crumbled under the weight of it. And I knew at that point it was time for me to go. Like, my work was not going to have the greatest impact in that position. And through work with my own spiritual mentor, I realized that actually the strongest place where I can affect real-time change is in the quantum field, is in the realm of energy. The power of my intention, the power of my prayers holds more effect than my 15 years I spent at this institution. That is incredibly wise discernment that I didn't always have. So I say these things to expose you to these ideas, feminines, but only you can discern what is the right move for you. And another, like a really kind of life hack short way to identify that is, like, when I'm at this place, can I hold my center for love in chaos? Or do I lose myself over and over and over again? If so, that's a mirror to your own reflection. I'm sorry, I got distracted by another message. Hold on. It's like, Spirit, can I finish one thing at a time? Like, only you can discern when it's time for you to go. It's funny, we have a time, I'm thinking of that time to go card in the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, and where it's like a figure running down like a plank or what looks like a pier or something towards a door. And there are certain moments in this life, one thing can happen, and that's your cue. And part of what we're doing together, and what I'm always trying to share, is reducing this time between intuition and action. That's what we're trying to learn how to do. And it's a muscle, like you would build a muscle in a gym. It's something that we have to work on. Okay. I laughed that I said this was going to be a short reading, but I feel like I haven't even just begun. But I'm just going to get a couple more messages and then we're going to call it, okay? I realized too that I've gotten some reflections, and I realized that for the people that my messages truly resonate with, my readings are very intense. And that's not that's not an accident. I know how deep I go because I go that deep. And some people are ready for those depths and other people are not. And so I understand that when I do the big readings, like 45 plus minutes, I understand how deep it is and how many things are being revealed. And I honor that that's really overwhelming. So I'm going to try to do more shorter readings. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. And you could tell me what resonates and what doesn't. All right. We have breathe. Do I accept myself without judgment? This might also be part of the relationship change. Do I accept myself without judgment? And then we have, am I fully claiming my authority? Am I fully claiming my sovereignty? Am I fully claiming the idea that I have full control over my life? That every choice I make feeds into my reality? So if I can make a new choice, then my reality will shift. Am I understanding that? We have the Sun card. Beautiful. This is a time of illumination. This is a time of things being revealed. Take it easy on yourself. I just said this to another friend. It's like at some points on the journey, didn't I start the reading talking about you have to honor when you're saturated. You have to honor. I understand how alluring, that's the best word. I understand how alluring and tempting this path is, because when we finally connect the dots and excavate that missing puzzle piece, it's so exciting and we have all this awareness and things start to make sense and it's like the synapses start firing. But we also are a limited human vessel, right? We are an infinite being in a finite human vessel, and we have to honor the boundaries and limitations of this physical body, right? So This is like, you've heard me say this before too. This is like going back to basics. Are you sleeping enough? Are you eating healthy foods? Are you drinking enough? Are you moving your body? The 4 pillars of like baseline health and wellness. That's it. And also for some of you, maybe breath work. We did have a breathe card in here somewhere. I'm holding 2 more cards, but there's something about breath work for some of you. Okay, thank you, Spirit. I guess we are going longer. I wanted to keep this to 15 minutes, but here we are. And I'm in service to the message, so we're going to roll with it. A huge part of breath work is emotional release. Breath work sort of disarms our the self. It disarms the mechanisms we keep in place, to the egoic things that keep all of us nice and tight and tidy, and I'm struggling to find the words, but it's like they keep things in order, when what we need the most sometimes is to get out of order, is to allow the emotions to flow. It's really easy to, on this path of illumination, or this ascension path, whatever you want to call it, it's really easy to get sucked into the mental work, to the cerebral part of this. However, if you are not allowing these truths to vibrate through your human body, your vessel, then this path is not sustainable. You are abandoning and betraying a part of yourself. It's like you're a family of 4 and you go to Disney World and you leave one of your kids in the car. It's like, are you doing that? Like, what is happening? Like, that's not okay. It's hot. It's super hot. It's like that part of yourself is missing out on all of these amazing experiences. I don't know why I chose Disney. I'm not like, I don't condone Disney. It like freaks me out, to be honest. So that's really weird that came through me. Maybe that's for someone. But this is what I gave you that extreme example because this is what we're doing when we do not allow the emotional truths to vibrate through our body, when we abandon our emotional experience or our physical experience. So sometimes through breath work, those experiences converge. And all of a sudden, mind, body, spirit is all working seamlessly together. And so there's something about that for some of you. We have, is my pursuit both honorable and focused? And then we have, what riches do I carry within? That's interesting. Those came out together. It's time for you. And this might have to do with this throat chakra with, what truth do you need to admit to yourself? I think it's interesting. Are your goals and pursuits noble? Are they honorable? Are they, do they have a purpose, or are you doing things because you should be doing them? Are you going to law school because your parents told you to go to law school? Are you doing things on your own volition? Is there a point to them? Do you feel called? Part of my work is helping you dismantle all of these like man-made structures that are built around your sacred flow. Didn't we have a flow card earlier in the beginning? Yes, right now. Stay in the present moment and don't get too far ahead of the flow. This is really interesting here. That I've never thought about it like that. I think that's really important. So many people, especially athletes and a lot of the biohackers, like Stephen Kotler wrote all those books about biohacking and athletes. And when I think, what's the one, the Superman one, and is it Finding Fire, something with fire? Anyway, it's like, so many of these athletes have approached flow state from a performance, right? They push their bodies and minds to the brink, and they found that there was actually a recipe for flow state. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about getting ahead of flow state. That's really interesting. I've heard people talk about it like, it's like a current. like a river and you're on a different river and we want to get on that river so we could be in flow with mind, body, spirit, so that we could actually honor that the nature and the quantum field around us is not other than us, that we become flow state. There's something about that merging. There's something about that oneness that feels so appropriate. And when we try to tell ourselves where flow state is, we're almost short-circuiting that connection, that divine connection that says we don't need to know where we're supposed to be. We need to honor where we are right now. There's something about feminines calling your spirit back from all of these future things. These, maybe you're trying to safeguard a future. Maybe you're trying to, so I was the baby of 4 children, and by the time my mom got to me, she was very chill. And I asked her one time, I said, when I was like a teenager in college and I would go out late at night, how come you wouldn't worry? And she's like, well, I learned years ago that worrying isn't going to help anything. It's not going to change anything. I'm either going to get a call that something horrible has happened, or I'm going to see you come in and everything's fine. And it behooves me to assume that you are fine until I hear otherwise. And I thought that was so like evolved of my mother as a parent. And I also had, I think, probably much looser rules than my older siblings. I was like a decade apart from them. Or I am a decade apart from them. But I thought, wow, what a wise thing. And she told me that when I was young. And I'm like, well, thank you. Like, I want to assume that I'm safe until I hear otherwise as well. It behooves all parties involved to assume that everything is fine. So feminines, if you are projecting worry into the future, this is your red flag here. This is like flag on the field. It's time for you to pause and really evaluate, where are you leaking energy? It's time for you to detach from future worry, because when you are present in the moment and have access to flow, you do have access to this limitless, this infinite abundance. It's just sitting there waiting for you to claim. But it's like, if you're so busy worrying about the future, it's actually robbing you of this freedom and access to all this deliciousness in the present moment. Let me just see what's in the shadow position, because I can't not look. We have dig here. It says, what do I want to carve out space for in my life? So yeah, these are a lot of a call back home to sovereignty. I'm just going to get one goddess card. I'm not even going to shuffle. I'm literally just going to pull one out. Let's see it says grounding. Okay. Yeah. Another self-care body card. So make sure, feminines, that, thank you, Spirit. So another message that's coming through, as you become illuminated. What does that mean? You've literally enlightened. You've become light. As you've gained this knowledge and integrating it into wisdom, it's really easy to because you know more and see more, it's easier to be scared by more. It is so, so important that you ground this vessel. Okay, it's almost as if, I'm trying to think of a good example. When you become an appropriate beacon for a certain frequency, you are now tuned into that frequency. And so it makes sense that reception will get stronger and stronger and stronger because you're tuned into it. In order not to shatter, in order not for your vessel not to break, your transmitter, your frequency tower needs to be grounded. It needs to be bolted down, because you're going to be receiving and emitting these strong vibrations. And if you're not grounded, it will not be a sustainable frequency. So just do whatever you have to do to ground, feminines. Let's end on a Buddha wisdom. I'm just going to grab one here. Okay, what do we have? We have, if with kindly generosity one merely has the wish to soothe the aching hearts of other beings, such merit has no bounds. Another card of your infinite nature, feminines. Another card of calling your spirit and energy and awareness back to intention. I started this reading talking about the power of intention, the power of prayer. This is ordinary. We have to get to the place where we take our gifts, where we take the world of spirit, the magical world of mystical truth, mystical laws. We have to take it off a pedestal. This is a regular day for you, feminines. Tap into your power of intention. You have no bounds once you become aware of your limitless nature. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this was supportive, and I'll see you in the next one, feminines.